And here we go. We've got Dr. Alice Lee here, shining bright and beautiful. And we are going to talk about the myths about withdrawals. So if you are on psychotropic medication, pharmaceutical medication that alters your mind, then this is the show for you. And I'm really excited because the music has started. So it's oh, come on. You can do more than that. I know you just got out of bed. There you go. There you go. That's how you do it. Dance like nobody's watching. There you go. There you go. You need to come to Florida so we can dance together. I'll be right here. Now you're getting it. You can count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
This is the place you can always turn to when you need a friend. The Lillian McDermott Show. To reach out to Lillian, visit her on the web at whenyouneedafriend.com. Now let's all learn together. Here's Lillian McDermott.
Hello, my listening friend. It's so nice we can meet each other on the air on this beautiful, best day ever. And if you have listened to the show before, or if just started listening to me yesterday or 7 years ago, I am so grateful for you. Thank you for coming back. But if this is the first time that you have tuned in to the Lillian McDermott radio show, just know that I've been waiting for you. I want you to know that this is a great place to go to when you need a friend. And it is my commitment to provide alternative ways to heal. And it is my mission to make awareness, responsibility, and truth a part of our everyday life. And I hope you, my listening, as well as my viewing friends, will feel empowered to embrace a new truth and live the life of your dreams. Now, before I bring the beautiful Dr. Alice Lee, holistic psychiatrist, you heard me correctly, holistic psychiatrist. You can go find her at holisticspsychiatrist.com. Very simple to remember that. I want to give you an update. I had shared last week or the week before my health journey. And as a result of a car accident that I hit my head, we discovered that I have post-traumatic brain injury. But from that, we discovered from doing all the testing that I had a tumor in my clivus. So with that in mind, I want to give you an update that I went to the brain neurosurgeon, and the brain neurosurgeon downgraded a tumor to a freckle. And that is great news. It's great news. Now, he doesn't know what it is. He says it could have been there my entire life. It's not affecting anything that is, any symptoms or anything, but it's there. And we're keeping an eye on it. So in 6 months, we'll take a look at it, but it's not cancer, which is great news. And we're just, it's like a freckle. Until that freckle turns to a different color, you just look at it as a freckle. So I am really excited. I personally believe that if we would have gone there 7 years ago, it would have been much bigger. But because I have changed my lifestyle, the way I think, the way I believe, my entire being, my medications, I believe we're at the tail end of this. And I truly believe the next time we do the brain MRI, there'll be nothing there. Just my beautiful brain and my wonderful hope that everything is well. So I just wanted to update you with that because I've received lots of prayers, lots of, positive affirmations. Thank you, thank you, thank you. The next thing I want to talk to you about is we're all about healing. The Healthy Eating and Living Tribe. I want you to know that we need RSVPs because I'm not like scrubbing bubbles. I work hard so you don't have to. We all are in this together. If you want the Heal Tribe to continue, text me because we're talking about coming together, going to a restaurant and trying different restaurants that promote a whole food plant-based, no oil, no sugars, no salts, lifestyle, tasty, tasty food. And we're talking about doing that on Saturday, October 27th. And also for the Heal Tribe in Space Coast. So that was the first coast, Space Coast. We're talking about meeting on October 30th And so if you guys want to go to either one of those, please, you need to text me at 407-373-5959. We also have the Keep Me Safe Organics Million Makeover that we're doing in First Coast on the 28th, which is a Sunday of October, and also in Space Coast, that is going to be October 25th. So if you want to be a part of any of this, or if you need for me to repeat it, text me and I will text you back that if you're interested, you are in. But now I want to tell you, I want to switch gears. I want to tell you about Dr. Alice Lee. If you want to listen to any of her shows, she's been on for quite some time since I started this journey to holistic health. I remember our first conversation is totally different than our conversation this morning. Love her, love her, love her. If you want to get off your medications, she is, psychotropic medication. She is a psychiatrist, an MD, who is also holistic. And so I highly recommend her. So we're going to talk about the myths about getting off these drugs and what a withdrawal really truly means and how you can limit that. And since it is our sole purpose in life to give and receive love and knowledge, I am grateful that Dr. Alice Lee is here to do just that. Welcome, Dr. Lee, to the Lillian McDermott radio show.
Wow, what an introduction. Thank you so much, Lily. I'm happy to be here.
Well, there's a lot of myths. This was an important topic, so important that you said, you know what, this is what I want to talk about today. Is it that you're seeing that people think that they're failures if they go through withdrawals? What is it, the quick underlying thought process with withdrawals?
Well, I think the main problem is that nobody knows how to withdraw from their medications, including the psychiatrists that are supposed to know that information, because in medical school and residency, medication is so central to our training that withdrawal is considered switching from one medication to another.
Correct.
And so it's really not real withdrawal if you're just going from one medication to another.
That's right. So we're not going to change. We're not going to play swappy. We're going to play done. One and done. And so we're going to learn how to do this with Dr. Lee when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Boom! 1 second. We did it in 1 second. Good job. Good job. So that's what I've been going through. Plus dealing with my parents who, my dad had a stroke, a mild stroke, and my mom has advanced stage dementia. Wow. And so I took care of them for 10 days during this time. So for 2 months, I didn't know what was going on in my brain. Wow. All I knew is that I didn't need it, and that I was smart, and that I was healthy, and that whatever it was a non-issue. And I visualized it getting smaller and smaller and smaller from the start of my learning about holistic health and where I am today. And you, my dear friend, mm-hmm. I remember you were one of the first holistic doctors I reached out to because of this epidemic with people just popping the pill to deal with trials in life. Do you see that is happening more and more? I'm sad, so I get a pill.
But I wanted to ask you, when was the car accident that you had the injury?
It was in June of 2017.
Oh, so it was fairly recent.
Yes, and I am very hopeful for that as well. So I just started noticing that I was forgetting names, and I have to write things down. It was taking me 3 hours to do a 1 hour show, and it was like distracted, having problems sleeping at night. And so when I had that experience at that conference where I got hooked up to a neurofeedback machine, and they said, you've got very little brain function, that alerted me. And I immediately called my neurosurgeon who, I know, and I said, I just want to get this snippet, what's going on. I just want to rule it out. Mm-hmm. And when they discovered it, that yes, I did experience post-traumatic brain injury. And so I just need to do things a little different now. Mm-hmm. And, but that's how they discovered that there was a freckle in my brain, in my clivus. And I'm sure you know where the clivus is, right? But I wanted to talk about you.
You can count on me. I'll be right.
Come on, let's do it. Love it.
You can text Lillian McDermott or leave her a voicemail at 407.
How can you look that beautiful coming out of bed? I mean, I just don't get it.
Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where we always learn and grow together. And today's teacher is Dr. Alice Lee. Listen up. The information that you're going to get here today does not end. Of course, you can hear this podcast over and over again, but you can also go to holisticspsychiatrist.com to receive Dr. Lee's newsletters. And so if you want to discover what's the latest in healing naturally, whatever your moods, whatever is going on, no matter what diagnosis, she is the one. She has fought really hard to be able to do this, so you don't have to. That's the scrubbing bubble that I like. Okay, Dr. Lee, thank you so much for everything you've done to be able to practice the way you do. So let's talk about that most psychiatrists take you off a medication to put you on another medication, but that's not what we're talking about today, right?
No, we're talking really about a successful withdrawal. And to me, a successful withdrawal is supporting the patient's withdrawal process in such a way that they can heal the underlying problems that cause them to have those initial psychiatric symptoms, and then to be able to strengthen them enough that they can handle the withdrawal from the medications gradually without any ongoing withdrawal side effects. And watching them closely so that after they've stopped the medication, they remain stable and well. Mm-hmm. And eventually they're able to leave my practice without having to have that label anymore. That's a successful withdrawal. And even within the holistic community, I think that there's this thought that withdrawal has to be painful, or that there's a term called protracted withdrawal, in which people are saying that you would have withdrawal side effects for years and years after you stop the medication. And so people hang on and suffer after they stop their medication, thinking that this is the protracted withdrawal of the medication and it's inevitable and they just have to wait it out. Because what I've discovered is that the better I am at helping patients with withdrawal and supporting their biochemistry and their psychology and the energy state of their minds and bodies during withdrawal, the less there is of withdrawal side effects, both during the withdrawal as well as after the withdrawal process. So that's what I mean by a successful withdrawal.
You know, as I get deeper and deeper into the why people choose what's common, I think fear is the underlying cause. If I am fearful that I'm going to have withdrawals for the rest of my life, why should I even bother getting off any psychotropic drug, right?
Right. And I think that especially for people who only hear the conventional side of medicine, I think it's very easy to assume that medications are the best interventions. I would say that because I've worked on it since 2002, it's been 16 years, what I've put together in my practice is fairly unique. There are other holistic psychiatrists, such as Dr. Michael Gurovich in Long Island, New York, who also has a clinic that has an integration of functional medicine and energy medicine. He has clinicians who do acupuncture or Reiki there, and he also is familiar with some of the energy medicine techniques. So they started very early to explore this field and have integrated lots of different tools. The more you can integrate these tools in a very seamless way, the more successful you are at helping people come off medications and really heal on a permanent basis.
Very good. And are you finding that some of these drugs, these psychotropic drugs, are causing deficiencies in the body that were maybe there when they were put on, or maybe caused it to get worse because they weren't addressed and they just used the symptom, they just treated the symptom as opposed to the root cause. What do you see out there, Dr.
Many
Lee?
medications do cause nutritional deficiencies. The SSRIs cause a depletion of serotonin at a more rapid rate. 80% of the storage levels of serotonin in the platelets are depleted after just 3 weeks of being on an SSRI, so which makes it hard to come off of these medications. And with the conventional psychiatrists or psychiatry's opinion that you shouldn't use supplements that build serotonin in concert with these SSRIs, it makes it very hard to come off of an SSRI if you haven't been, supporting the serotonin system first and then gradually coming down. The whole process is tricky, though.
Yeah, but isn't serotonin, I'm trying to rely here on my memory here, serotonin, 80% of it is in the gut.
90 to 95% of serotonin receptors and neurotransmitters are in the gut.
In the gut. Okay. So that percentage keeps going up, because first it was 75. Now I'm hearing 90%, 95%. So the gut is important. And we also know how important it is to eat healthy, whole food, plant-based, which is what I support here on the show. So with that in mind, what about trauma? Traumas in the body that we refuse to deal with. How does that affect our psychological well-being?
Well, traumas have a profound impact on the way in which the body functions, not just biologically, but the way we interact with the world and how we live within that environment because of those traumas can have a profound impact on our physical health as well. Okay. So I think of medications as a buffering agent, a temporary hold for people who really need it, and you don't need to feel guilty about being on these medications, but you can't use a buffer forever. You have to actually heal the things that are causing the symptoms, and the best way is to support the body's natural defenses or helping the body to regulate itself better through either functional or energy medicine techniques.
Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. What are some of the most common myths when it comes to these withdrawals that you're finding out there?
I'm just going to list a few that I wrote about in my newsletter, one of my newsletters. And I'm just going to lay it out there and we can talk about them each if you'd like.
Yes.
One common mistake is that people assume that patients will remain stable when only medication withdrawal is being managed. That means you don't handle any of the psychology or traumas that person has experienced psychologically. You're just focusing on the biochemistry of withdrawal. That's not a good way to go. Number two is using relapse as the indicator that the withdrawal has failed. It's better to use subtle signals that the withdrawal is getting into danger. So such as, I find it more useful to follow sleep as a sensitive indicator of a person's state of health, because it very early on, it can signal that something is going on that's not as healthy as that person needs. The third misunderstanding is that another common mistake is to just focus on supporting the physical body during withdrawal and not integrating mind-body interventions. Mm-hmm. So like I said, this is healing from psychological traumas. And the final one is to press forward with medication withdrawal when the patient is unprepared for it and is clearly struggling with withdrawal side effects. So usually what I'm suggesting is that if you're not prepared for withdrawal and you have a lot of side effects, withdrawal side effects, you should not be doing withdrawal.
Okay. I want to go back to the second one. Actually, we can go back to the first and start talking about it. But you said something about, I just need clarification about sleep. When someone is going through the withdrawal, you said something about going to sleep. What did you mean by that?
A lot of the psychiatric illnesses have as symptoms, or one of the symptoms, problems with sleep, like insomnia, mm-hmm. or oversleeping, or sleep that is disrupted in the middle of the night. So sleep is a very sensitive indicator of how that person's health is going. Mm-hmm. And rather than waiting for the person to have a full-blown relapse where they're depressed and need to go in the hospital, and then throwing your arms up in the air and saying, oh, the withdrawal has failed, or the person's illness has taken over and therefore the withdrawal isn't working, and so we have to put the patient back on meds. You can tell when the withdrawal is not working very well, or something has to be remedied during that withdrawal process if the person is having problems with sleep. The other thing is, if they start off with problems with sleep, you certainly shouldn't be going through a withdrawal from a medication. You need to actually support the person until the sleep has been corrected and the person is able to have sound sleep and feel refreshed when they get up before you start lowering the medication.
And we all know, I'm so glad I got clarification on that one, because sleep is so crucial, especially the hours of 10, between the hours of 10 p.m. and 2 a.m. That's the time that our scrubbing bubbles are working hard and getting rid of the trash in our body. And so that is the bewitching hour. So with that in mind, we're talking about drugs. The common thing is, here's some Ambien, here's some this, and here's another drug to help you sleep. And the reality is those can be worse than being up, right? So how do you support someone's sleep and create some healthy sleep patterns?
Well, there's lots of different ways, because the sleep is regulated through many different channels. I'll just give you one example. For example, when you're working with any kind of withdrawal with SSRIs, such as Prozac, Zoloft, Celexa, any of those kind of medications, if you're off with regard to the withdrawal, sleep will be disrupted or get worse, because serotonin is converted to melatonin in the biochemical pathway. And so when you want to support the serotonin system, you're really supporting the repletion of melatonin in the pineal gland, which of course is all about sleep and dreaming and all of those things. So, so when you help a person, for example, get off SSRIs, you're watching sleep pretty closely. If they are starting to have problems with sleep, it may be that their serotonin levels are low for whatever reason. It could be a stressor that's happening at that moment in their lives. It doesn't have to be that the withdrawal itself is a problem. It may be that because of the stressor, other things are happening in their bodies that is diverting the nutrients that you're giving that person to handling the stress in their lives.
So how do you replenish the serotonin or the melatonin?
There are lots of different supplements nowadays. Lots of supplements with, they have 5-HTP, but they're also in one capsule, you can have everything that you need to make serotonin. So one of my favorite supplements is called Sero Plus, SERO, P as in Paul, LUS, and it's by Pure Encapsulations. And it has, the B vitamins and the minerals, and it also has it throws in a little bit of, inositol and things like that to just kind of help with the calming aspect.
And that's called Sero Plus?
Sero Plus.
Okay, we're going to go deeper in this while we're taking the break. So I want to encourage all of you to listen up, because it is time for us to take back our health. And we're doing this with Dr. Alice Lee. And we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide at whenyounneedafriend.com. We'll be right here waiting for you. Oh my gosh, that is great. So it's called Sero, SERO Plus.
Plus.
And that's S as in Sam.
Yeah.
And you've been using this for how long?
Well, I've been using something to build serotonin for over a decade, because it was early on that I was helping people with SSRI withdrawal, and I was learning about how to make that happen a little bit more easily, and how to make serotonin and all of those kind of things. So, but I used a variety of different companies. One company that I had used for a long time was a company called Senesco, and they also make a product called Prolent, and I had used Prolent for a long time, but I tend to like the Sero Plus a little bit better now. But Prolent also has 5-HTP that helps build serotonin. It has some enzymes, some minerals, has a activated B6, which converts the 5-HTP to help you convert that into serotonin. So having that can be very useful.
Now, I know that we're talking specifically about withdrawals from psychotropic drugs. And by the way, I was told by someone that psychotropic drugs were like heroin and lithium, or not lithium, heroin and crack, and those were psychotropic drugs. But the pharmaceutical industry, for when it comes to psychological medication, that's also called psychotropic, right?
Psychotropic. Just
Psychotropic. Okay.
That it works on the psyche.
Yes, I that's what I thought, but I was corrected one time, and I just wanted to clarify that with you. Okay, so we're talking about withdrawals, but there are a lot of people today that suffer from insomnia or like wake up in the middle of the night. Maybe they can go to bed, but then they wake up 3 hours later and they can't get back to sleep. Is this Sero Plus good for them as well?
I think it may. Because whatever the stressor is, you might want to try it and see. The only risk is that sometimes if you use Sero Plus and it builds serotonin, if other things in their bodies aren't in balance and if they're not able to metabolize it properly, it may cause what some people might get with any kind of antidepressant. They might get the opposite effect. They might become manic. So it depends on the person's health and their ability to handle a serotonin specific supplement. Because when I help patients, it's never just one pill. It's always kind of helping in, the vitamins and minerals, and helping them with diet and helping them with the traumas as well.
Very good. So what I'm hearing you say is that the Sero Plus is specifically designed for people that have been on SSRIs, and it has a much more powerful attack on the body, or not attack. It has a
very targeted. It's
more targeted to that. So if somebody has an easy time falling asleep but cannot stay asleep, what do you suggest for them? Or is that something you feel comfortable mentioning?
Well, there's meditation. Tracks out there that can be very helpful and powerful. Mm-hmm. So that's the first step, is seeing if just putting your mind in the right state or having good sleep hygiene might be useful. Mm-hmm. There might be certain homeopathics, like Bach flower remedies, that might be very useful. Mm-hmm. That's just more kind of tweaking the energy system of the body. I think helping with gentle detox can be helpful, because a lot of times it's stress related, and stress causes a buildup of toxins, I believe, of adrenaline that hasn't been cleared. So anything that can shift your stress levels down.
Okay, good. Here we go.
Count on me. I'll be right here waiting for you.
I like it. Give me the head bob.
Lillian McDermott, or leave her a voicemail at 407-373-5959. Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where you can hear us worldwide at whenyouneedafriend.com. I am your host, Lillian McDermott, and it is our goal that we learn from each other. Go through life with childlike wonder. Look at the person in front of you. Learn something you don't know from them. And as well, we are all teachers. We are all students. So somebody's learning from you. So just remember that we're all in this together. Today's teacher is Dr. Alice Lee. You can find her at holisticspsychiatrist.com. Please sign up for her newsletter. That way you can get this information coming to you over and over again. So, there's so many things that we go through in life, and we think we're the only ones going through it. And this is my philosophy. I don't know if I'm right or wrong, but this is the way I think. A little glimpse into my little brain, or actually my huge brain. I believe that if it happens to me, it probably has happened to someone else. I'm not that unique. I think I am a little unique, but if it's happening to me, chances are it's happened to someone else. When we come together with this kind of information, you can create something better. Like, I don't know how to make a wheel. I'm not going to start reinventing the wheel because already someone has done it. But if I improve upon the wheel, now that's magic. If something is happening to you and you join forces with someone who's been successful at dealing with whatever that is, now you can improve upon it by learning from this other individual, as well as you getting the gift, the download from above to know what you need to do at the moment you need it. Just trust the process, because that's how it works. Believe it. And so I want to encourage you to go to whenyounneedafriend.com, because this is where we have these kinds of, don't reinvent the wheel, let's make it better conversations. And so go to whenyounneedafriend.com, become a subscriber. When you subscribe, you get the show sent to you. And when you are at whenyounneedafriend.com, there's a lot of buttons and play that you can have. You can go there. And when you subscribe to my YouTube channel, which, by the way, great information always in between the breaks that I want you to listen to my beautiful sponsors. But when you go to YouTube and you subscribe to YouTube, the show is also sent to you, and you can get the off-the-air conversations as well. So that's like our little added bonus. And you can listen to it. You don't have to look at us. You can still listen to it while you're working out, walking, whatever it is to promote a healthy life. So go to whenyounneedafriend.com, subscribe, and when you do that, you get all sorts of free gifts. So if you have been wanting to subscribe and forget about it when you get home, send me a text right now at 407-373-5959. That's 407-373-5959. And you can tell me, text me your email address, and then I'll subscribe you. That way you'll get everything sent to you just from a click of a button. And while you're there, make sure you check out my sponsors. Without my sponsors, this show would not happen. So figure out ways that you can support my sponsors the way they are supporting the show. Also, you can go to, if you like podcasts, you can go on demand, iTunes, Google Play Music, iHeartRadio, Stitcher, Spotify, again, YouTube. There's so many different ways that we can stay connected. Please follow me on social media. The buttons are all at whenyounneedafriend.com. Now, today we're talking about a successful withdrawal from your psychotropic drugs. There's something to be said about getting through the other side of whatever it is that you are going through. Fear will keep us paralyzed. But the absence of fear, like if you say, I'm going to take care of it anyway, I'm going to do this anyway, is freedom. Fear converts into freedom when you deal with whatever is happening. And just remember this other promise, that anything that happens in your life is a gift for you to learn something new. And that was something that I've always known deep within me. And I want to leave that with you. And Dr. Lee, I am so grateful because you've gone through some things in your life. You're so passionate about where you're at today. Anything you'd like to add to what I just said when it comes to, the fear of getting off the medication that becomes our crutch, to the freedom that is on the other side of that fear?
Yeah, I think what you're referring to is that my journey began with my own personal discovery of what withdrawal was like when I was trying to get off Zoloft, 25 milligrams of Zoloft back in the 1990s back then, and how long it took for me to realize that it was a withdrawal effect. I don't think that I needed the medication because at the time I was struggling with some decisions about my career, and I felt like I was put on that medication because yes, they didn't think that my decisions reflected a very positive, direction.
Mm-hmm.
but it was my direction. It was an authentic desire on my part. So sometimes just because you don't agree with someone, they don't think that your decision is, in their opinion, the best decision. Sometimes you get put on a medication to
Mm-hmm.
medicate that away.
That's right.
But let's go back to how people get put on medications. A lot of
Okay.
times nowadays, people get put on medications for a whole bunch of different reasons. They might be put on an antipsychotic just to help them with sleep. The doctor doesn't know that the antipsychotic affects so much more than just sleep. It affects over 20 different subclasses of receptors, and the person end up becoming dependent on that medication.
Mm-hmm.
And when they try to get off the medication, then they hit some really big roadblocks. They can't get off the medication, or they have lots of symptoms when they try to get off, symptoms that they've never experienced before they were put on those medications. So it's really important for people before they even just take that medication and start taking it to really do some research on their own, because there may be other natural approaches.
Mm-hmm.
I oftentimes would ask patients to go see a naturopathic doctor, because a naturopathic doctor or an ND spent their whole education, their whole medical training on natural approaches
Mm-hmm.
to healing themselves, healing their patients. So my background is in medicine, an MD, and I had started my journey in 2002. So I would say that going to a naturopathic doctor sometimes can give you lots of, ideas about how to help with sleep that are natural and healing, as opposed to another prescription medication that will land you along the path of dependency.
That's right. That's right. Well said. I really appreciate you sharing that information, Dr. Lee. What people don't understand, and what I didn't understand either, because I had my own journey with medication as well. I was on asthma drugs my whole life, until I got an EOB saying that I was on chemotherapy drugs. And I'm like, well, I'm not on chemotherapy. And it really bothered me. And I was on this drug called Xolair that was the closest code that they could use to bill it. And that bothered me so much that the teacher appeared, Dr. Andrew Saul, said, Lily, if you take vitamin C, you can get off your asthma medication. And I have been taking for the last 6 years or 5 years, I've been taking vitamin C for the same stuff that I used to use all that asthma medication. And so drugs are designed to keep you just sick enough to need the next dose. And so what I want to encourage people is to get beyond the fear of dealing with whatever it is. As a certified life coach, I am more than happy to help out in any way, to help you get through and seeing whatever is happening as a blessing. Yes, maybe now you can't see it as a blessing, but if we work together, right, Dr. Lee, do you see that your patients, when they decide, I want to get off this medication and I am ready to deal with whatever got me depressed or anxious or whatever, do you see that resolve in their eyes and that it is easier for them to get off that medication?
Of course, it all has to come from the heart, and the person, if they have the courage and the willingness to invest their life and their time on a certain project. I have seen people that I didn't personally think would be successful ask me to help them, and I reluctantly agreed to help them, and to my great amazement, they did so well that I was like, wow, that was easy.
Yeah.
There were some people where you kind of think, well, I can do this, I can help them, but if they didn't invest, or if their heart wasn't in it, it doesn't really matter how well I might be as a doctor or how much I know, it's not going to work.
You're absolutely right. You're absolutely right. People are afraid to deal with the pain that they think is going to cause them. But then they drag that pain with them for years and years and years, like this 50-pound sack of potato. It's time to get rid of the pounds of potatoes. It's time to get to just embrace whatever it is in our life. And I hope that this encourages all of you to go beyond the fear. And we're going to continue our conversation when we return worldwide with Dr. Alice Lee, holistic psychiatrist. When we return, we'll be right here waiting for you. That's what we need to know. I keep hearing all these pings.
I thought this was on, it's on airplane mode.
Yeah.
Oh, just turn it off. I know.
That's okay. That's okay. You know, you are a doctor. You are. And I know that doctor is on call. Now, I didn't ask this on the air because I think I've asked this before and I could not remember the response or the answer, but you can help people via Skype or Zoom or whatever. If somebody
for example, if I'm working with someone, because the energy medicine piece is so important and ready accessibility is so important, I usually try not to work with people long distance, especially if the risk is great.
Okay.
Like if they've been on a lot of medications and they have bipolar and they, schizophrenia, those kind of things. I don't want to risk in any way causing someone to be supported if they were to go become manic or psychotic. So it's only if they can drive here and work with me that I will work with a harder, kind of more severe illnesses. But sometimes, if a mother says, my child has some depression, this is the first time that I've had to deal with it, and that maybe that it's even an adolescent who's willing to work with me. Sometimes you can work with them through Skype because, they're already depressed and they can only get better, especially if they haven't been on medication or they want to avoid medication or they've been on medication for a short time. So depression is a little safer to work with. So the worst case scenario where they don't succeed, you can still just put them on, the antidepressant. There wouldn't be any huge risk.
Yeah. But it's that helping them heal. Now, when you talk about energy medicine, because we still have some time before we go back on, and Dale Billis of Liberty Health Share is not on. I'm hoping that he will come on, but I just want to give Liberty Health Share. They are a major sponsor of the Lillian McDermott radio show. Dr. Lee and I talked about how the last time she was on, she met Del Billis of Liberty Health Share, and you decided that was interesting enough to look into it, right?
Yeah, I think that, my insurance, because I'm in solo private practice, had been going up and up and up. And so when you mentioned Liberty Health Share, I gave them a call and started being insured by them.
Yes. Well,
we're
members. We're not insured. We're members of Liberty Health Share. The language is a little different because the insurance industry will just close them down if they use any language that resembles insurance, but they're a health share. I want to encourage you to go to libertyhealthshare.org, libertyhealthshare.org, or call 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237. And I've been a member of Liberty Health Share for over 2 years now, and I absolutely love it. I can go to holistic doctors. I could even go to you, Dr. Lee, if I wanted to. They would pay you. Here we go. This is the last segment. Dance like nobody's watching. And I hope all of you watching are doing your morning stretches and getting all excited.
At 407-37.
All this wonderful energy.
Once again, here's Lillian.
Welcome back to the Lillian McDermott radio show, where we always learn and grow together. I want to mention that normally Del Billis comes on, but he was on a flight, but I want to mention Liberty Health Share. For those of you who want to make a change from the traditional insurance, which I did over 2 years ago, and instead I went through, it's called Health Share, and Liberty Health Share is absolutely phenomenal. $1 million per incident. And so it's not like, John in their garage is going to help me out if they think I deserve it. This is a wonderful organization. They've been around for over 30 years. LibertyHealthShare.org. Check them out. It truly is affordable, Affordable Care Act exempt life health share. That's 855-58-LIBERTY. That's 855-585-4237. libertyhealthshare.org. Please check them out. They're one of my sponsors, and I want to encourage you to support them. Look into it because it's totally different. There's that fear. Fear almost kept me from trying this, and the other side of fear is freedom. So, Dr. Lee, so as we talk about all the things, I have a saying that the body will not forget what the brain wants to neglect. What do you tell people? Because we talked, quickly about, about withdrawals and getting off psychotropic drugs or medications. What do you say someone that is anxious, depressed, feeling distracted? There are things in their lives that they haven't dealt with. How does that manifest in the body?
The body, I think, basically is the concrete symbol of every thought, every emotion, every experience that you've had. So it's the final bus stop. And so whatever you're experiencing in the body is a average of all of those energies. So the more you can work on healing from those traumas, the more the body is freed to heal itself more easily. So it has a profound impact. I mean, every experience, in fact, every thought that we're having at this moment has an impact on how our body goes biochemically. So it's all one because, our body is made out of vibration as well as it's made out of particles. My next article in my newsletter is about the vibrational aspects of being and how our thoughts and emotions need to be dealt with constructively. And in energy medicine, there are tools that help you clear blockages or strengthen the way energy can flow to your body to help support your body's needs energetically. Because our bodies need energy just like, any kind of instrument might need a battery. So that energy can come in the form of loving energy, peaceful energy. It could be in the energy of truth and information, that kind of thing. But all of that has to come through. And if you're blocking those pathways because you don't want to face them, you don't want to take responsibility for them, and you just stuff them away, those pathways aren't able to work for you to bring energy into your life. It's like a light bulb with a million different pathways of light going to that light bulb. And if your trauma has affected half those pathways so that you're blocking them because you don't want to think about them, you don't want to deal with them, then only half the pathways are working for you to make that light bulb shine. And so your body can't have the information, or it doesn't have the resources that it needs to heal properly if that happens.
Very good. And so you talk about energy medicine, and I want to kind of address energy medicine because I know you're an expert with this. But I want to encourage you, my listening friend, my viewing friend, I want to encourage you to go to my website at whenyounneedafriend.com. I have a page called 100% Responsibility. Responsibility has a bum rap. People think responsibility is blame, shame, fault, and duty. It's not. When you take 100% ownership of your life, it doesn't matter what anybody has done to you because it's your life and you get to live it. And so if you look at whatever happened as something you would choose and to learn from and grow, it completely changes the dynamics of whatever's happening at that time or in the past. So I want to encourage you, there's 4 little questions that allow you to take that ownership in their life back. And it's at whenyounneedafriend.com, 100% responsibility page. Whatever is happening that is causing you to feel dis-ease, then write it down and then answer each question without fault, blame, or shame, or duty. Just love for yourself so that you can get rid of that sack of potatoes that is that heavy bunch of weight that you've been dragging around for all these years. So how does energy medicine, Dr. Lee, how does energy medicine help dissipate some of these traumas in our life?
Well, in energy medicine, we think of the body as made out of thoughts and vibrations, and that just like electricity flowing
Mm-hmm.
along a cord, electrical cord, we think about energy flowing to us in lots of different ways. So in energy medicine, there's acupressure techniques,
Okay.
meditation, there's intentional work, there's muscle testing that you can use to kind of check and see how the energy intervention is working. Also, energy medicine includes acupuncture, Reiki, it includes Qigong and yoga, it includes essential oils and homeopathy, Bach flower essences. These are all different modalities, and each modality you could spend a whole lifetime learning to be an expert in that modality. So energy medicine is all about unblocking energy flow or allowing more energy to flow to you, to be present in that energy, or being able to have tools that can help you access information, information both through muscle testing or information, for example, that will clear any disinformation that might be held in the body, that might be powering the body in a way that isn't helpful, such as food sensitivities or allergies. So energy medicine has lots of different tools that get rid of people's allergies.
Mm. Really?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So how would I use energy medicine to get rid of allergies? How do which modality can help me do that?
Well, NAET is one technique.
MET?
N as in Nancy, AET
Okay.
is one modality that I've heard about, even though I'm not trained in. But I have used actually EFT, E, F as in Frank, T as in Tom.
Really?
To get rid of
Tapping?
tapping to get rid of food sensitivities.
Okay.
Just even certain ways in which you can use intention, as long as you're connecting to the proper energies, can actually get rid of food sensitivities.
Very good. Now, okay, so we started off with withdrawals and some of the myths and perceptions. Is there anything that you would like to add before we before we close the show?
I think the main thing is for people to know that it's possible to come off medications, that there are natural ways to do that, that they don't have to end up with a label chronically for the rest of their lives, and that it's possible to find doctors nowadays who can offer that service. So I hope that they will do some research, find doctors in their area that might be able to move them in that direction, or a naturopathic doctor, sometimes an acupuncturist, can move them closer to that goal.
Very good. And for those of you who want to learn more about Dr. Alice Lee, she's in Maryland, but I'm sure she would be more than happy as you become a subscriber to her website, which is holisticspsychiatrist.com. Her information will be invaluable to you. And so make sure that as you're learning and growing, perhaps maybe she can help you through your journey in different ways. And so I'm hoping, Dr. Lee, and I don't know if you've done this, maybe you can do like a group seminar with us so that we can ask you questions and you can help us heal mind, body, and spirit.
That would be wonderful.
You think we can do that?
Yeah.
Hey, you never know what comes out of my mouth, right? I love the fact that you're agreeable. Anyway, thank you so much, Dr. Lee. I really do appreciate you and everything that you're doing. So I'm looking forward to our next.
Thank you so much for having me today.
And for those of you, you heard the truth of psychotropic medications and withdrawal. It's up to you to decide now, what will you do with everything that you've learned? Take your life back. This is Lillian McDermott wishing you love, peace, joy, and unexpected abundance. Make it the best day ever. That's the best ever you've ever done. I love it. This is great, invaluable information. And I hope that this conversation will empower people to just be curious as opposed to fearful. Have you, and I want to end in a very positive note. Can you share a story? You shared a story about someone you thought was unlikely to be successful. But have you shared a story? Can you share a story of someone that if he continued or she continued taking this kind of medication, they would have not been able to thrive or survive in this world. Maybe someone who was suicidal, maybe someone who had been diagnosed with bipolar.
Actually, yeah, I can think of one patient that I'm working with. When I first saw her, she was on 2 different SSRIs.
Mm-hmm.
She was on Zoloft and Prozac, and she was having horrible panic attacks.
Mm-hmm.
She was in her 20s, early 20s. It was probably second year college, and she couldn't continue going to college.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, she had such a bad panic attack that she had to be wheeled in a wheelchair at the airport. She was having a panic attack at the airport. She was having a horrible time getting on the plane. And
Mm-hmm.
here was a 20-year-old young, healthy, I guess, physically healthy person being wheeled in a wheelchair because she was having such weakness. And I worked with her, and she, she needed support in lots of different ways, but nutritionally, the 2 key things that she needed was serotonin support to get her off the SSRIs. She needed mitochondrial support for energy. And and she just needed some supplements, like general supplements, minerals and things like that. But the mitochondrial support, and she needed a certain kind of support with the serotonin, because I used L-tryptophan and I used 5-HTP. And she didn't do well with the L-tryptophan. She did very well with the 5-HTP. So L-tryptophan is converted to 5-HTP. 5-HTP is then converted to serotonin, and serotonin is then converted to melatonin. So she couldn't, biochemically, she was having a hard time converting L-tryptophan to 5-HTP.
Mm.
So anyways, right now she's off all her medications.
Oh, wonderful.
Gone back to college. She's doing great. She doesn't have any panic attacks. She's very confident. She's doing well in class. It's as if she's never had any kind of problems.
Wow.
She was on those 2 medications. She was just getting worse.
How did you know that this was an issue with her? How did you know to put her, is this trial and error, or did you do some blood work to find out where she was with her blood, with her levels?
Well, the diagnostic abilities in energy medicine is quite amazing. So I had, over time, just innovated and created a way in which I can take the principles and techniques that I was learning in energy medicine and be able to diagnostically apply it to some of the functional medicine that I was doing. So I could tell what was going on functionally with her immediately through these tools that I was learning in energy medicine. It was interesting for her because she went, some supplement company that was helping her with mitochondrial support one day ran out of their supplements. So I switched her to another one that's very similar, but it was a capsule instead of a liposomal supplement. And liposomes are very absorbable. Capsules are less absorbable. And within about a week and a half to 2 weeks, she went from doing great to having anxiety again.
Mm.
And then when we restarted the liposomal mitochondrial support supplement, when it came back on and the company made it again, her symptoms went away. So I learned from that. I learned that mitochondrial support for this kid was very important, and the way it's delivered was very important. She needed a very highly absorbable mitochondrial support supplement. And it wasn't just enough that she was getting it through a capsule. She needed that kind of supplement.
Wow. You know, it's amazing when we are looking, all the things we discover. There's so many miracles in life that go past us. I mean, like I remember listening to one of my heroes is Louise Hay. She still is, even though she has ascended. And I remember she would talk about the miracles each day, like a flushing toilet or electricity or, like like you turn on a light bulb, like you turn on the light and the light comes on and you just flip it forward. That's a miracle that there's light around us. And you know, like driving your car, or you know, little modern miracles that we just take for granted. When you look for clues, the body gives us clues all the time. I love how you were able to look at this young lady as an individual, not as a one-size-fits-all, which is what pharmaceutical drugs are. We're so uniquely created, and each one of us has a different deficiency or issue. So go ahead. Would you like to add?
I was going to, before I forget, I wanted to add one last piece to this young lady's history,
Okay.
or her journey. And that is, she ended up, I mean, her goal is to be a holistic psychiatrist like me.
So she had to go through it.
Yes, her journey is very interesting because she really wants to do what I do. And I think that's why I think on a spiritual level, she may have had some of the difficulties that she had, because she learned very much about her body along the way, and some of the lessons and principles about healing was being experienced by her firsthand. And so she really wants to go to med school and get her MD degree and, you know, learn about all these holistic approaches so that she can actually help other people in a similar fashion. So I think that that's kind of awesome.
It happened to you. And because of it, and this is where I believe that I have been graced with this knowing that anything that has happened to me, it hasn't happened to hurt me. It has happened to grace me. It has happened to, because no one really wants to grow when things are good. You know, when things are good, we're just like going with the flow, right? The moment something happens, it's not that I'm saying, hey, bring the rain, bring the thunderstorm, bring the hurricane, no, because I love my oasis. But when things are happening, we get to stop and say, why did this happen for me? What are the gifts? What are the lessons? Which is part of the 4 questions for the 100% responsibility. What are the gifts and lessons? Well, first of all, how did I create it? Because we all have, you know, whether it's, and again, it's not blame, fault, shame, or duty. It's how did I create it? Could be I would just happen to be at that place at that time. It wasn't intentional. You know, how did I create abuse? Well, I was born to the family. It just is. It's not a blame or shame. So that first question, how did I create it? Second one is, what are the gifts and lessons? And sometimes I go straight to that because that helps me get through some really difficult times in life. The third one is, what's going to be different now that I know how I created it, what the gifts and lessons are, what's going to be different? You know, and I talk about this on my video that I did for Hay House, as a matter of fact. And then the last one, and this only happens if you're really evolved, like Dr. Lee, which is, how can I take what I've learned and use it for the greater good? And I love Dr. Lee because you are the epitome of responsibility. So thank you. Thank you.
I totally am 100% in agreement with what you just said. And I think responsibility is a double-sided coin. Responsibility is a heavy word, but the other side of the coin is freedom.
It is.
Because
empowerment.
when you take responsibility, you are empowering yourself, and you can, I think what makes it easier for me to take responsibility is to widen my perspective, to think it's not so much that I created it kind of on purpose in this life, but that's on a spiritual level that I created in the sense that I wanted to have a life that is filled with opportunities for growth. And there's no better way to stimulate a human being to grow than to poke them a little bit.
Yes, poke them in the eye, like
poke them a little bit so that they can just like say, ouch, you know, what's this? And so they can pay attention to that issue.
Yeah.
And I also think that when a person is experiencing lots of challenges or problems, not through, you know, any fault of their own, but if they encounter those problems, one way to think about it from a spiritual perspective is that they had a lot of courage and they really wanted to grow. And so they chose a life where these kind of challenges would come up so that they could have an opportunity
Yes.
to face
Yes.
them and learn what they need to learn. So
Yeah.
it's a compliment to them.
Yes, right. And you know, it's so funny when we went through the housing crisis issue and all that, all the things that you go through in life. I remember sitting with my husband and saying, this is a lesson I'm learning once. This is it. I am not going to go through this again. We're learning this one, and we're debt free, and we're doing all the things that we can do so that we are responsible. See, the word responsibility has such an awful connotation. And so what I'm trying to do is I'm reframing the word so that we think of it like, just like when I hear people say, okay, I'll try. In my brain, I reframe it to, I have no intention. I just want to look good right now. I have no intention. I'm just going to tell you I'm going to try, but I have no intention to doing it. So we reframe words in our brain. We can reframe responsibility. If I take 100% responsibility for my life, I will not let you continue to hurt me in my head. Thoughts. Going back to this young lady, which was a great example, the thoughts that she was having crippled her to the point where she needed a wheelchair. But she's having these thoughts, the same thoughts. We have 70 to 90,000 thoughts a day. Of those, 90% of them are repetitive. Of those, 80% of them are negative. So we can reframe all that. It's about consciousness. It's about awareness. And I am so grateful that, psychiatry is the only licensed clinical doctor that doesn't really need tools to write a prescription. I'm feeling sad. Here's some Zoloft. No, okay, let's take some blood work. Let's check your gut. Let's do, you don't have to do any of that. But I'm so glad you took responsibility because you went through what you went through to say, no one's ever under my watch going to go through that. That's the step 4 of taking 100% responsibility. And how freeing is that, Dr. Lee?
Well, it just brings so much joy into my life to be able to give to others what I valued for myself. And I really do feel like the experiences I had with depression, having to take Zoloft, coming off Zoloft, struggling with withdrawal, and all of those things was meant to be a gift. It was meant to be a gift to teach me, and it was meant to help me to put my heart in the right place so that I could really have the perseverance and the motivation really to help other people get better, because I wouldn't have those as gifts for my patients if I hadn't been in their shoes for a while.
Absolutely. And I will let that be the final word. For all of us who have gone through things, just know that you're not the first. You're not the first. It's happened before. Let's unite with our intention to heal. And I am so grateful that Dr. Lee, again, it's holisticspsychiatrist.com if you want to reach out to Dr. Lee. Also become a subscriber to her website, holisticspsychiatrist.com, and also check out Liberty Health Share, libertyhealthshare.org. And so here we go. If you like this program, please like it, share it, and help me to grow. Help us to grow together so that we don't have to feel we're alone or so unique that this has never happened to anybody else. Chances are, if it hasn't been invented, you were called to do it. So thank you, Dr. Lee, and thank you for watching. I look forward to our next conversation.
Thank you, Lily.